So am I supposed to have a serious intellectual conversation with a man who thinks the president can do whatever he wants to, and unless it affects your family, you don't care if it affects everybody else? That's what I'm getting from this conversation, sir. Unless it affects you personally, you don't care about other people. You have proven that in this conversation.
Hey, Brian. So I came across your show recently, and I see like how hot-headed you can get, especially with supporters. But I'm just wondering, why can't you give Trump the benefit of the doubt?
Okay, so hold on. Let's stop there. Let's have a conversation. I'll be very calm for you, sir. So first of all, it's called passion. I'm a very passionate person in my personal life and my public life. And if you don't like passion and you want to watch or listen to somebody that is monotone, that is boring, then you have the opportunity to do that, sir. I find that very strange that you called in and you say, why are you so hot-headed? But I'll answer your question by saying there's a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump that are very ill-informed and that are very stupid. And let's prove me wrong in this conversation. What would you like me to give Donald Trump credit for? Should I give him credit for ending the war in 24 hours? Let's start there. Donald Trump said the war would be over in 24 hours. Even before he got into office, he would pick up the phone. Should we give him credit for that, sir? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Should we give Donald Trump credit for lowering the price of gas? He said he would do it on day one. Should we give Donald Trump credit for that?
No.
No, thank you. Okay, thank you. Should we give Donald Trump credit for saying he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it?
Well,
yes or no?
Come on, the borders were so safe.
Listen, don't get
safe again,
sir. Don't get hot-headed with me. Okay, calm down. It's a yes or no question. Should we give Donald Trump credit for saying he would build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it? Don't skim around the answer. You did a great job. The first two questions, you gave me the answer. Should we give him credit for saying he was going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it? And please don't be hot-headed when you answer my question.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty, sir. Thank you. We're having a very good, productive conversation here. When Donald Trump said that he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton, should we give him credit for that? Did he do that, sir?
I forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah, well, you forgot. No. Well, okay. I'm not going to say like all the right wingers say about Joe Biden that you have Alzheimer's, but yes, sir, I'll be respectful to you. He did do that. So Donald Trump did say he was going to do those things. In fact, he ran on those things. So why should I give him credit? What would you like me to? I'll give you the opportunity now, sir, since you're answering my questions, which I do appreciate. What do you think I should give him credit for?
Not as much credit as a benefit of the doubt, because that he's doing so many things that they attacked him.
What is he doing?
About
what is he doing?
Before.
What is he doing?
Particularly the economy, tariffs.
The economy. Doge. Okay, let's talk about that. Doge. Let's go one by one. The economy. What is the GDP growth since Donald Trump was day one in office? Have we grown the economy since he's been in there?
The answer is no. It's shrunk.
The answer is no. Okay, so I'm not going to give him credit for tanking the economy, and I'm not going to give him credit for tariffs, but because it's also the American consumers are suffering for it. But that's okay. Let's talk about tariffs. They said 90 deals in 90 days. Since you want me to give him the, quote, benefit of the doubt, how many deals has he made since he's been in office? They said 90 deals in 90 days. How many deals have been made?
Oh, he made, as far as I know, 3. One with Vietnam, the United Kingdom, and...
No. So I would argue that with you, but even if that was true, he said 90 deals in 90 days. Should we give him the benefit of the doubt? Was he telling the truth?
Well, no, okay, on
thank
there.
You.
But
I appreciate.
But can I go about what I mean by benefit of the doubt overall?
Sure.
There was actually they right before you actually had him, and you had Elon Musk saying that they actually admitted early on that, yes, there was going to be temporary hardship, but what would come after would be so much better.
Let's talk about that.
This is the wealthiest man on earth. This is Donald Trump, one who's actually gone through.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
So many bankruptcies, so many losses, and in one.
Let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about that. So they said they found all this fraud. Help me with this, sir, if you may. Is fraud a crime in the United States of America?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering that. How many people have they indicted or arrested? Where's the fraud? Have they sent any recommendations to the DOJ? Can you tell me, has there been one arrest?
No, but what about
Thank
the wall
you.
of receipts?
Okay. Hold on a second. You said what about, but I'll still answer your question. But I just want to be clear on this. It sounds like you're trying to compliment Doge because you said the economy. We just proved that the economy is not, headed in the right direction. It's not true. I've had brilliant economists on this show, most of whom say that we are headed for a recession. So I don't know why you'd brag about the economy. That doesn't make any sense to me. We talked about the lies and the things that he promised to do that he hasn't done. I give you credit for admitting that and being honest. I appreciate that. And now we're talking about Elon Musk because you seem to be praising the richest man in the world. And yet, in Doge, you mentioned Doge. That was the third thing, right, sir? And
That's right.
Fraud is a crime. They've claimed first they saved $2 trillion. Then it went down to $1 trillion. Then it went down to $140 billion. They can't even prove they saved $140 billion. They keep saying that they found all this fraud. Fraud is a crime. We both agree on that. But yet they haven't indicted one person for fraud. So how can you say that Doge has done a good job? And if you care, and I'm going to believe you, because you are answering my questions, which I appreciate, by the way. Most people don't. If you care about wasteful spending, then why wouldn't you be complaining about Donald Trump spending $25 million of our own money so that he could go to the Super Bowl and leave at halftime or go to a Daytona 500? Why wouldn't you complain about him giving Ashley Babbitt's family taxpayer dollars, $5 million for a terrorist, for a traitor who went and stormed into the Capitol and lost her life because of her stupidity? If you truly care about that, why wouldn't you be with me and call it out? There is no massive fraud going on. They haven't indicted anybody. What is there to give him credit for? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt when all they do is lie? The guy is the only guy in American history who won't admit that he lost an election as president. Why would I give somebody like that the benefit of the doubt who lied literally 30,000 times his first go around in office? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt who's burned the Constitution up, who's not giving people due process? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt who hasn't been honest and sincere and with one of the ladies that has ever been in his life? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt like that who lies every day?
So first off, I mean, the due process thing is towards illegal immigrants.
Not true. What does it say in our Constitution? What does it say in our... You don't even know, do you, sir? I'm going to read.
Yeah, actually, 5 and 14. 5 and 14 says no person.
Right, and as a person, right?
We're in that gray area.
No, I'm not going to let you get away with that. That is not a gray area. They could have said legal or illegal. They could have said document or undocumented. They said person. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it a person that is being not given due process? Would you consider that a person? Yes or no? Is it a human being? Is it a person?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In our Constitution, it says any person. So don't you give me this, with all due respect, this garbage about how, well, if you're illegal, you don't get due process. That is not the way our Constitution reads it, and that's not the way this country works. And by the way,
but we're fixing a crisis. It's a border crisis.
So you think fixing a crisis is giving people no due process, and a mother that is breastfeeding her 1-year-old child and separated? You think this is the process to send people to an El Salvador prison with no due process, some of whom have no criminal records? One man who's a hairstylist who has 2 tattoos on his body, and they said the tattoos are why we sent him over there. And you know what those 2 tattoos are? Mom and dad. You think that's how we handle a crisis? By giving people no due process and throwing people out of our country with zero due process, many of whom that are non-violent criminals? You're okay with that, sir?
Well, the Department of Justice said that Abrego Garcia, the Department of Justice official website said he was a criminal.
Okay, so but where was that proven in a court of law? Where was that proven in a court of law?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
Nowhere.
Exactly. Thank you.
Hence, I mean, the Supreme Court, but
just because oh, you want to talk about the Supreme Court? I am so glad you mentioned that. Okay. By the way, none of those people got due process. Who cares what somebody says on a website? The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that Donald Trump needs to help, quote, facilitate the return of Mr. Garcia. Since you care so much about the Supreme Court, since you just brought it up, are you okay with the President of the United States defying the Supreme Court? Yes or no?
I care about winning.
No. Don't deflect. Don't deflect. No. The question wasn't whether you think Trump is winning. I need you to focus. Don't deflect. You're the one who just brought up the Supreme Court. I'm going to ask you the same question again. I don't care whether you defy Donald Trump as winning or not. That wasn't my question. I need you to pay attention, sir. I'm not being hot-headed. I'm being as calm as I can, but I start to get agitated when people don't answer my questions. We were off to a really good start. Please, let's not go south. You brought up the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that Donald Trump and his administration must facilitate the return of Mr. Garcia. Are you okay with the President of the United States defying the Supreme Court, yes or no?
Yes.
Did you just say yes?
Yes.
So the President is above the law. The president can do no.
They've already have with immunity.
No. You're wrong. The immunity does not apply to a court ruling. You're not allowed to defy court orders. You're not allowed to defy judges, and you're not allowed to defy the Supreme Court. So you're wrong. You don't even understand what the immunity applies to. So you're okay. What you just said is so amazing to me because I guess that's your definition of winning. You're okay with the President of the United States, no matter who it is. It doesn't matter what a judge rules. It doesn't matter what the Supreme Court rules. You're okay with the President of the United States ripping up our Constitution, not giving people due process when the Constitution clearly says every person will get due process. You're okay with the President doing whatever the hell he wants to do. You think that's winning, defying every court, and you're okay with whatever the Supreme Court rules on. You're okay that the President defies that. That's what you're saying, right, sir?
Hey,
sir,
sounds bad, but
sir, it doesn't just sound bad. You sound ridiculous, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can to you. You have openly admitted to me that you think Donald Trump is winning. Somehow the country is winning when we have all these people in this country that are not getting due process. We have so many people in this country that have lost their jobs. There are people that are getting intimidated by the Secret Service for saying 8647. You guys are the ones that talk about the Constitution. You guys are the ones that talk about free speech. He is the one who is infringing on our rights. And yet you come to this show and I'm shocked what you just said, that you can't even admit that maybe the President of the United States, maybe defying a Supreme Court order, and maybe that might be inappropriate and wrong. You are defying everything basically that it says about this country, our Constitution, how it was founded. And you seem to be totally okay with that because you have some sort of fetish for the orange man. Like, let me ask you another question, sir, before I let you go. And by the way, I do appreciate you having this conversation with me. I do appreciate you answering my questions because I do think for the most part you did, even though I disagree with you. And that's why I'm trying to be respectful to you. Let's talk a little bit about his behavior. Do you have a family, sir? If you don't mind me asking, I'm not trying. There's a reason why I'm asking. Do you have kids?
No kids.
Okay, fair enough. You have are you an uncle? Do you have kids in your family?
Uncle. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're an uncle. I appreciate that. So, what would you say about somebody that you call great or winning, who openly admitted to going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission because he owned the pageant? And several of those women have come forward since. And Donald Trump admitted to doing that in a sexual manner on the Howard Stern show. You're an uncle. And that's why I'm asking you this question. Are you comfortable with that behavior?
Well,
sir,
but
it's a yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're comfortable. Okay. So let me get this straight. You're an uncle. How old is you have a niece or a nephew?
Nephews between 18 and 13 and 18.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, let's just say your nephews, male or female, it doesn't really matter, but let's just go with female here. Do you have a niece, or are they only nephews?
Only nephews, but young people in my family.
Okay,
yes.
Young people. Let's pretend that one of those people is a 13-year-old girl, because you said you're an uncle. What if a man in his 60s that owned a teenage pageant walked into a dressing room when your niece was undressing and naked without permission? Would you be okay with that?
No.
Okay, so then why would you say yes just because it's not your niece, sir? Now I'm starting to get frustrated, okay? I'm going to try to be calm with you. You just said you wouldn't be okay if you had a 13-year-old niece and a middle-aged 60-year-old dude walked in there without permission. Then why is it okay for him to do it if it's not a member of your family? He openly admitted it on the Howard Stern show that he went into teenage locker rooms from the beauty pageants that he ran without permission. They were naked, many of them. They were changing. Why is it only if it affects you personally? Why don't you start thinking about other people? So I'm going to ask you the question again. I'm going to give you a chance to retract. Are you okay with the man who you call great, who you claim is winning, personally, going into teenage locker rooms, bragging about it on the Howard Stern show in a sexual manner. Are you okay with him doing that without permission? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Why did you say yes?
Because I thought it in terms of like, celebrities and music artists that have girls surrounding them and they can like push the limits, and that's what I thought that Trump was like.
Okay, so you're wrong about that. Okay, fine. I appreciate the fact that you changed your answer, and thankfully you did. I still don't understand your Supreme Court answer. Let's go with this a little bit further. Are you comfortable with a man who has 25 women that have accused him of abuse, who is a liable abuser, who had to pay a woman off, and his own ex-wife claimed, I'll use the term grape because I am on other social medias where you can't use that word, had to pay her off. Under oath, she said that he raped her. Are you comfortable with that behavior of a man who had unprotected sex with a porn star when Melania was giving birth to Barron? Are you okay with that?
One question at a time. Of the women that came forward, it's that, so many women in my circle and my family.
Here we go.
They all think that these are just dumb women looking for attention.
They're just so that's
this is the women listening.
Okay,
to this,
so first of all, let me just stop you there. For you to characterize, including his ex-wife, by the way, so you're saying that he married a dumb woman who testified under oath. Clearly, you're not familiar with that case, Ivanka Trump, who recently passed away a few years ago. So Ivanka Trump, E. Jean Carroll, and the 25 other women, because some people in your family made it. By the way, I don't care what members of your family say. I'm talking to you. You're saying that, quote, they're all dumb. Would you say all the women in the Bill Cosby case were dumb as well?
Not all.
Not all.
But
okay.
who knows if they were? But we'll think about this for a second. Here's a woman that apparently assaulted, coming like 10 or 20 years later. It's all like it's all like
so if you come out 10 or 20 years later, it couldn't have happened. Is that what you're saying, sir?
I mean, why did they have to wait so long?
Why did they have to wait
every
so
woman
long?
Every woman I know.
I'll answer that. I don't think you know a lot of women,
but the same exact thing.
I don't think you know a lot of women, but let's go back to what you just said, sir. So do you understand that in many situations with women that are the victims of abuse, there's a lot of different reasons why they don't come forward. Some are shame. They're afraid of power. Many women who came forward, some of whom I know personally in the Bill Cosby case, wonderful people, great people. They were scared. They were shamed. They didn't know what to do. For you to say that if a woman comes forward 10 or 20 years later, it couldn't have happened and it's very suspicious. Do you realize how ridiculous that statement is?
That was the general consensus around.
No, it's not. It's your consensus
around.
No, it's not.
No, around Brett Kavanaugh. About Brett Kavanaugh.
Okay, so first of all, Brett Kavanaugh, we're not talking about. Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse. Are you aware of that? A jury of his peers found him liable. Does that not matter to you, sir? Then again, you think that he should just defy the Supreme Court, and you're totally okay with that. But it was proven
in a civil court with almost no evidence.
So did you see all the evidence, sir? Who saw all the evidence? You or the jury? Who saw all the evidence, sir? You or the jury?
Yeah, I'm going on because I'm forgetting about civil court.
So,
I learned about the difference.
Yeah. So you learned about civil court, but you're totally okay. You're a civil court scholar, but yet you have no problem with our president of the United States defying the Supreme Court on a 9-0 ruling. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm sure you know a lot about the civil court. That's okay. So let me get this right. To go back.
No.
I am going back. I am going back to that. But hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay, he's not making anybody rich unless it's tech billionaire friends. But hold on a second. You have all the evidence that the jury saw in the E. Jean Carroll case. You've seen all the evidence.
I have not.
You have not. Okay, so what? Okay, so hold on. It does matter. Hold on. You just said there was no evidence. I just asked you if you saw the evidence in the case that the jury saw. You said no. Sir, I'm trying to be respectful to you. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't seen all the evidence that the jury saw. You're making a gross assumption. You also said that all the women, including 25 of them or more, that have accused Donald Trump of abuse are all stupid. That is a despicable statement. You also said that you would be okay with Donald Trump going into a teenage locker room without permission when they're changing. And then when I tried to personalize it to somebody in your family, then that made you change your mind, which is very bizarre. You've also said that you're okay with Donald Trump defying Supreme Court decisions, in this case 9-0, to facilitate Garcia coming back. So am I supposed to have a serious intellectual conversation with a man who thinks the president can do whatever he wants to, and unless it affects your family, you don't care if it affects everybody else? That's what I'm getting from this conversation, sir. Unless it affects you personally, you don't care about other people. You have proven that in this conversation. All right, sir. Have a nice day. You sound I appreciate your call. It sounded like you just developed a stutter in the middle of the phone call. I hope you get that fixed, sir. Have a nice day. Holy smokes. Wow, that was a piece of work. By the way, I didn't yell at him. I didn't scream at him. But I will say this. That man is a complete MAGA buffoon.